Shame on me for not believing in Will Smith in this movie. This movie delivered way more than I thought it would. Shame. Guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review, here to discuss King Richard. Now, this movie is from 2021. It stars Will Smith and it's available right now on HBO Max. Now, before I get into why my expectations for this film was so low and what they delivered here, like, it was so well executed, I need you guys to drop down and subscribe to my channel and like this video. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that, and then we're going to come back and discuss all things Will Smith. Will Smith acting. You say, oh, yeah, what? Who said I couldn't act? I'm acting. Dramatic acting. He was acting. Have hopefully subscribed to see more of me. Let's get into this movie. Before we jump right into King Richard, let's just take a second for Will Smith. Now, with everything that has been going on, you know, the little controversy around Will Smith, I was not too excited for this film because I just feel like, you know, his personal life was overshadowing the film. Another reason I wasn't excited for this film because it was King Richard. I'm not super familiar with Venus and Serena's, you know, upbringing, their backstory, but I was, you know, feel like, why are we, you know, just getting to know their father? Like, I want to know about the girls. I want to know, you know, Serena and Venus. I want to get to know the girls. I don't really know about their dad. What's so significant about him? I was wrong. But the main reason why I really was not excited for this film was because I myself have not been excited by a Will Smith role in the past few years. Like, and I'm not even gonna say role. We always known him to be funny. The, you know, comedy, the action, he always delivers there. We can, you know, depend on him for a good laugh, or, you know, tote around a gun. But once we get into, you know, the dramatic territory and we get into Will Smith starring in a drama, I have not liked Will Smith in a dramatic role since The Pursuit of Happiness, like literally. Everything after that was, you know, which he rightfully deserves, but it was very Oscar baity. It just came off, you know, faulty. It was fake. It just didn't seem genuine. The scripts were, you know, a little lackluster. The acting was off. The co-stars, everything just was not gelling right. So I was like, we're gonna get here with a movie about their father, starring Will Smith, and he finna be dramatic with all this entanglement happening. Yeah, right. No, right, because it was good. Now, getting into the movie, we start off, you know, with King Richard really pushing and supporting his daughters, not just Venus and Serena, all the girls. Like, I want all of my daughters to be successful in, you know, whichever field, you know, they choose. But for, you know, some special particular reason, he gravitated towards tennis for his last, you know, two daughters, Venus and Serena. And with him and his wife being prior athletes, he really pushed and, you know, read a little manual here and there. Was like, yeah, this is a good money maker. I'm going to teach my daughters to play tennis in Compton. Like, despite, you know, their neighborhood and every single roadblock, we just start off, you know, we watch this whole movie and he's continuing to believe in and push his girls no matter who says what to him. Like, I don't care about our neighborhood. I don't care about, you know, our lack of resources. My girls are special, and if nobody else believes that, who gives a damn? I believe it, and we're gonna make this happen. And boy, was the journey great. To say that, you know, I enjoyed the film would be an understatement. It really hit heavy for me, you know, being a 90s kid. I feel like we had so much really good Black, fathers representation on screen all the time. And we saw that all the time. And I feel like we took it for granted because I don't feel like we see that enough anymore. But here, just to see how unchanging he was to motivate and push his girls, oh my goodness, like it could bring a whole tear to your eye. Now, with me not having any real prior knowledge of King Richard, though, I do know who he is and I've seen, moments, but things that happened, previous with the girls growing up and him training them, I didn't know anything about that. So I made it my business to go find, any video I could watch, listen to him, look at him, watch his body language, his posture. Will Smith bodied that here. Like, when I, watched it and I was like, oh my God, he has an accent. Like Will Smith is about to try to have an accent. It just made me think of Concussion and I was not excited. But with Richard, being a Southern, protective father, loving husband, Will Smith captured all of that, all the way down, from his accent to his posture to the way he walked, his mannerisms. It was like almost perfect. And I was pleasantly surprised at the way that Will Smith was delivering. Not that he can't act, but just when it comes to, bodying another person, everybody doesn't have the capability to do that. And I didn't feel like I've seen him do that since, maybe Ali or The Pursuit of Happiness. But here, we got that back. He came back. Now, I was very excited to see, because I just wasn't sure how it would go, that even though this story is about, King Richard, they did not shy away from letting us get to know Venus and Serena along, with the other sisters. The actors that they chose to play the little girls were like pretty much spot on. If you go back, it's just like, it's damn near a reflection. It was really, really spot on. Even with, the little girl who's playing Serena, she sounded just like Serena, I swear. But I thought it was really great how in getting to know, King Richard, we really got to know, the base for who someone like Serena and Venus are, for them to be, those top great athletes that we know, they're so, they're legends now. But just to see where, that came from and, everything that he poured into them, everything he instilled, being humble, the practicing, not bloating, like it was just so much. And it was like, oh, this is why they became what they became. It started with King Richard. And this is why, us getting to know him is really, really relevant, instead of us, even though I would love to see that, I would love to still see, a Venus and Serena-esque story. But he is such a pivotal, important, he's so important in their life, and he pretty much made them who they were. And we're going to get into, later on, because it wasn't just him. But, he was that launching pad for them, and he oh my God, he was relentless. Like, I do not care. When we get into the writing, the story did really good in balancing out not only us getting to know Richard and the girls, but once they started to, throw in, the community, those Compton streets, the tennis court, the support or lack thereof, the nosy neighbors. Every time we got into an obstacle, it was just like, oh my goodness. We have the girls, trying to practice, him trying to be positive, not only practicing, because you remember these little girls are, in school, they're, scholars. But we can barely even go to a tennis court. Like when the triple OG people approaching him, harassing the girls, beating on him. You're just like, oh Lord, leave him alone. Like you were really feeling and identifying with him. Just like he is trying his hardest, like to stay focused, and spoke of all his girls as if they were already successful. And we were here for it, because we were like these things really happen. The girls, and Will Smith collaborated, often as a whole to produce this film. So everything here is, accurate for the most part. So to know that he said these things and instilled these things, and we were just watching like, yes, it's gonna happen. It's gonna come true. She gonna be that. They gonna be that. I'll be that. They gonna be that. Like, it was so inspirational. I also love the strong message here in this film, when we have stuff like, ain't no freshman taking my spot, Miss Thing from Love and Basketball, that nosy ass neighbor. Like, we have people constantly surrounding the family, letting them know you are too hard on your girls, you are doing too much. They're always, we continue to see them practicing. We see so much damn tennis in this movie. I don't even do sports. Like, I don't know nothing from a nothing, but I feel well versed in tennis after watching this film. Like, you see so much of that. But I think it's a lot to be said about, how he conducted himself and his girls. And it's just like, we need more of that today, of people being a little harder on their children, because, we see what happens when they not. You see, the kind of from the 80s and 90s that we see there, the decline of, what's happening now with, kids' upbringing and parents, not being harder and not really pushing them. Nobody's made to, to really be pushed to greatness too often now. It's just like, we accept what we accept, and, that's it. King Richard was like, no, we're going to be successful. My babies aren't going to be out. Like, what's the alternative of me not pushing my girls? Them being out there, like, I really love that we got to know, a little bit of his backstory. We didn't go too deep, but we know enough to know that he was from a different generation. Like, he's very, very country, very Southern. Like, I know a different, type of, white person. And this is, what happened to me when I was a kid. This was my upbringing. This was my relationship with my father. His goal is to I don't want that for my girls. All of my girls are going to be successful. Like, and I don't care what the hell I got to do. If I got to, practice, I got to work, a night job. If I have to go, oh my God, when we got into him, going to visit like the tennis court after tennis court, trying to get a coach and a coach and a coach and a coach. Not only trying to get a coach, but no, we need you to work for free. We need you to work for free because we don't have the money to pay you. Like, I made a videotape, I have a brochure. If y'all not gonna let me in, I'm just gonna knock out the door. I'm just gonna show up. Y'all not giving me a seat at the table to, look at my girls and see how great they are. I'm just gonna show up. All of that perseverance that he had and the persuasiveness, for him to, lack of a better word in the movie, feel like, he was a dumb country nigga, you know what I'm saying? Everything in this movie and the way that he strategically handled himself amongst, when we gonna get to them people, child, in their tennis. He was not, in no way, shape, or form, like, he was very smart in that way. Like, I'm not gonna let nobody play me or my girls. Y'all you see this talent, you gonna get your money on the back end. Like, you gonna pass up on all of this talent? I'll pay you later. Now, even though, the movie is really heavy, as far as content, especially, after they beat him up and we see him approaching with that gun to shoot that little boy and he gets shot up, like, I was like, oh, Lord, y'all gotta get out the neighborhood. Like, oh, it was just so heavy. But with the movie being so heavy, especially when they're establishing, like, we got it out the mud, like, we came up. There's so much comedy here. This movie is funny. It didn't, deter from Will Smith using those comedic chops. And not only was it funny, but this was King Richard. Like, he was a funny dude, whether it was intentional or not. There is so much laughter here. I laughed often in this film. But once we establish, Compton and the family, and let me not forget Miss Angelou Ellis. Well, now, oh, Marianne, you sure look fine. Angelou Ellis is here. She is a very underrated actress. She has been acting like as long as I can remember, and she is so freaking good. She carried so much weight here. I was just really concerned that, this was going to only be the King Richard show and we wouldn't, really too much dive into Venus and Serena, as children or the wife. No, she played a very pivotal role here. They were sure to let us know, like, no, this was not just the King Richard show. I was, an athlete too. I was at those practices. I was pushing, getting into her pushing. I did not know that Venus was the first to pop off. I did not know that. Sadly, which is, I'm not a sports buff. When I think of the sport, I think of Serena first and Venus second. Not to say that, either one of them is better than the other, but I don't know. Serena, just with her attitude, she displays so much dominance. dominance, and Venus is the more, quiet, demure one, with her game and all of that stuff. So that heavy, I just think of Serena first for some reason. And, she's more in the public eye often than Venus, in my opinion. But to see that Venus was the GOAT, like, Venus was, their launching pad for their family to get themselves in the door. When they finally do get a coach, after being turned down 50 times, like, Richard was persistent if he was nothing else. They only want to take on Venus. And I was like, what? It was, really funny to see, because we know how great that they both became and how big Serena was. So to see them, just like, oh yeah, we want to go, whether it was because, Venus was the older sister or not, it was just really funny to see that a lot of the film here really waned on Venus and her complex, with tennis and, coming up with her father and their relationship and her playing, to a certain age. Venus was, really heavy here in the story. And I just knew it was going to be either the both of them or, Serena really, showed you how much I know. I don't know nothing about their life, child. Because I was like, oh, they just wanted to take Venus? Oh. Now, by the time the girls, the girl finally gets a coach and we get, into those junior matches and just how involved, him trying to backseat coach, that shit was funny. Like, no, open stance. I loved, even though we're going to get to, his other characteristics, him as a father and how protective he was over his girls was a beautiful thing to see here. Like, no one is taking advantage of my babies. We see, him constantly, especially in the beginning of the film, getting beat up, getting jumped on, getting harassed, and he's so used to it. It's like it's nothing. I'm going to come to, put a little ice on and take a shower and I'm going to bed. Like, this is what, my life has been. And he is determined for that not to be, that's not going to happen to my daughters. But once we get into, that world of tennis, I did not know, they were the first to, really dive in there. They're very, clear to let us know, like, ain't no black folks here. Ain't no black folks here. They're, it's just them. It's literally just them. We get into opponent after opponent. Venus kicking ass. And, just going and going and going. And I'm like, wow, it was literally just them. Like, when nobody, like, this was, and that goes in turn when we get into the coaches and people trying to approach him in a business sense about the girls. I love so much that he was not impressed. Like, he was a blunt man. Like, I'm not holding my tongue. I'm going to call you out. Why are you impressed? Because we're black. Like, oh, black people should be playing tennis. You hear so much. Maybe you should try basketball or try to get them into something else. This is tennis. This is a white sport. But I love that he was not impressed. It was very much, like, oh, I'm funny. Like, how am I funny? How are we funny? How are we so great? Why are we so great? Why are we so amazing? You didn't say they were amazing. Why are we amazing? Why are we the exception? It's because we black. It's because we black. Yeah, I'm about to pass gas and just walk away from the table. Like, he was very heavy in that. But the film also doesn't shy away from showing us his imperfections, which I love. When we get into little bio type situations, they love to show us the good stuff and not, the bad. It was like, no. We slowly see, as they get more and more successful and they have, more options on the table, which I also love with him, making sure I don't want my girls to be burnt out. This is, a sport. They play, you guys push them, and there are endorsement deals and all these things that follow, and they play and play and play until they are burnt out at 19 and they're no longer useless. That's not going to be my girls. Not only is that not going to be my girls, but they're going to go to school. We're going to learn different languages. We're going to vacation. I just want them to be children. I absolutely love that he looked out for them in that way. He did not jump at the first bag of money anyone shaked in his face. Like, yeah, that's nice. I believe in my girls. If that bag of money is there now, it'll be there later in, 3 or 4 more years. So after we, leave, not only him being super resourceful, like, no, I'm about to record everything. Serena, don't worry. We're going to come. We're going to practice. We all going to come up. This is just, Venus time right now. After we leave that and, him check them on their boasting, like, I just love, like, Angelou here. She was such a mom. Like, what the hell you do? You don't leave. I was with her. You don't leave my kids on the street. We are in Compton. You gonna drive off and leave my kids? Like, but that's that was a nice taste into what Richard could be like. He really had a chip on his shoulder and had a complex and had an ego out of this world. Though at times I feel like it was beneficial to the girls. We do get more into his character and why he was conducting himself in that way, and why, you know, he felt the Cinderella film was important. And I just, you know, it's not going to be all about tennis. Like, we're going to come and go home. We're going to do things outside of tennis. Like, I love the way that he conducted himself, even though his ego and his attitude was out of this damn world. You don't leave my damn babies on the street. What's wrong with you? So after we take the, you know, the beginning and the middle of the movie to really establish, you know, the kind of father he is, how dedicated he is, you know, tennis, and, you know, the lack of blackness there, the girls killing it, you know, how, you know, successful not only, you know, the two girls are, but, you know, the older daughter going to school, everything is looking up. Once we get into, you know, the juniors and Richard just hitting that click of, yeah, no, I don't want to take any deals. I don't want my girls to do juniors anymore. I low-key want us to take a break. We really see, you know, a shift change in his character once the girls kind of get to where he feels like they need to be. And he starts to, you know, make decisions by himself. He doesn't, you know, inquire about, you know, too much of how the girls feel or how his wife feels. They just go. But be that as it may, we still, you know, get into, you know, at this point with the girls, you know, having a name now when they're in the press and they're, you know, kind of phenomenons, we still have people knocking down their door. And when we get into the coach and that whole finesse, because that was finesse with Richard, like, okay, yeah, you know, the contract and oh, that all looks good. Yeah, this is our family contract. I need, you know, my daughters to go here. We all need to go together. We need a home. We need a van, top schools. We want to, you know, be allowed. Like, he really, you know, laid out his plan. But he didn't encounter, like, you know, your plan includes all of us. We've all been here. We've all been pushing for the same goal that you have. You have not been by yourself. When we really get into the real reason, not only to protect his daughter, because I think that was a really smart decision, but it was, you know, restricting the girls at the same time, especially Venus. Oh, poor Serena. I love the way that they didn't shy away from, like, she was jealous, like, I'm proud of my sister, but, you know, I want to get out there. Even when we get to see her, you know, just go and play a match, like, she was really like, and it's like she has so much fire, and we know why Serena is the way Serena is now. But once we get into, you know, kind of stifling the girls, you know, Venus and him just, like, really, like, he was so comfortable rolling around that man's little estate, and it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna need a job. He's working there, he's taking over. Yeah, y'all could take the day off. And it was like, Richard, this ain't it. Like, I was literally waiting for that man to be like, okay, you know what, you're dropped. Everything is dropped. I'm tired of you, you know, stringing me along on a leash. I agreed to, you know, do this. Like, the way that he had, like, y'all signed on the dotted line, and he waited till they drove and got all the way to Florida to go, yeah, we ain't playing no more junior Spanish. Yeah, we gonna take a break for like 4 years and then they'll play. It's like, what? But that just goes to show you how talented the girls were, because someone like, you know, all of these esteemed coaches, they were willing to wait and, you know, do things on Richard's crazy terms. Now, with everything just kind of going smoothly, even though we do, you know, have Richard and his ego and his decisions, and, you know, he's become, you know, the braggadocious one now as far as, you know, my business and my girls, and though we know he's making the right decisions, when we get more into his character and have, you know, I was like, well, what the hell's going on here? We get back, you know, into the house after we've, you know, had Venus try to, you know, get the coach, like, can you please tell my dad to let me play? I am ready, like, I'm hungry. And then he goes in the house and it's just like, yeah, you ain't been here by yourself, and all your kids came to the door, your son, all your children popping up from all over the place. Like, what? What? This is like, what kind of marriage? Like, I felt bamboozled the whole film. I thought, you know, even though Richard had his little quirks, they were very, you know, you stepped outside of your marriage, Richard. But after we leave, that damn kitchen scene established so much, because we felt, you know, that shift in Richard's character. He was always, you know, really, you know, with the ego, but for the better part of the film, it was to push his girls, like, damn right, I'm not falling for, you know, the first carrot you guys tingle in my face. Damn right, I'm going to push my girls. I want them to be great. They're going to be great. I see something you don't. But once we see that switch happen and we get into that damn good conversation in the kitchen and realize that, you know, you're holding them back because you're scared. And the way that he was, holding them back, because it's like, once I let you guys go and you're really out there, really, killing it in the public, you're going to be subject to, ridicule, and, it's all about representation. You're not just representing yourself. And her, saying, you're glad, I don't want anyone to see me and perceive me as, a crazy, a dumb, like I'm more than that. And you're scared that it's going to come true. Like, oh, it was so real. So once we get into, that really great court scene of him talking to Venus and goddamn Will Smith delivering, and we got them Pursuit of Happiness tears, I was like, oh yes, Will, this is the Will that we love. And I love Will regardless, but when we get into, dramatic roles, nothing felt forced. It felt so natural, and we were like really with him in the story. So once we got ready for that tennis match, I was here. Once we saw the braids, like the braids and the beads, I was like, this is what I was waiting on. Serena, Venus, and beads go hand in hand. I was like, oh, we have arrived. Wearing beads. But prior to, them getting back into, like we skipped over juniors and people just really doubting the capability of the girls. Like they haven't played in years. What is it going to look like? And she goes out there and kicks ass. It's like, yes, like you were like yesing with the audience. But once we had, a lot riding on, the next match, and this is, the top tennis player in the world. Venus at this point is only 14. And oh my God, I love that scene where we have somebody, try to come and give them an endorsement deal. And it's like, yeah, this offer only stands for now. This family was not crazy. It was like, no, they were so smart, and it was so great to see here in the way that he let his daughter take the lead. Like, no, you should be talking to her. It's like, no, why are you offering me this? Why is this whole fucking dog and pony show? They haven't even seen what I can do. I want them to see what I can do. And we get out there like so much. Prior to that game, when he has that little conversation with Serena, who's just standing there, and it's just like, your time is up. I set it up this way, for Venus to be out there and, be that first one, but you're going to be the GOAT. I was like, she is. Oh my God. But once we get into the match and Venus is kicking ass, it was so good. I don't know anything about this match. It was like watching it on TV or being at the match for the first time. I thought she was going to win. I thought, this was going to be a triumph moment, and she got out there. Y'all counted her out. She's whooping ass, and these endorsement deals were about to pour in. Bitch, you saw. Like, no, this was not that. Not only was this that, she was like doing so well and shook her so much that I was like, they can do that in tennis? You can just leave and take a break for that long? Like, you could do, when they did that and it threw off her game, I was like, oh, no, Venus, like, no. But I love the way that even though she didn't win the match, they didn't, internalize that with her. She was like, I should have won. You guys were relying on me. He never internalized, the need to. It's like, you go out there. He said so much, it's about having fun, do your best. I know you can do it. Now, if you happen to win, that's even better, but it's not about that. It's like, it's okay. You went out there, you kicked ass. I know you can do it. We know you can do it. But if by chance you don't, it's okay. We still love you anyway. That shit does not happen enough. It was so good. Like, ugh. And then for her to still come out of the stadium to, the admiration and those girls looking up on her and an even bigger endorsement deal, like, what more do you want? And of course, we know what they became eventually. I would love to see a movie on that. Like, that would be slapping, because I know that they faced a whole lot. Even, I would love to see, what they face. I would love to see their complexes, as sisters when they have to, compete against each other. That would make a really good film. But just here, and Will's performance alone and the journey we went, with him, it was so good. And I enjoyed this movie. Well, you guys, that was my review for King Richard. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, this movie was fun and inspirational. Like, we love some good inspiration. I have a newfound respect, for the girls and for King Richard and just all the obstacles they faced and overcame, and them being a GOAT. Like, both of them are the goddamn GOAT. Like, he's like, no, you try to, you know, you got the next Michael Jackson. You got the next, like, no, I have the next Venus and Serena. Like, it's the difference between, you know, being cocky and just having faith in who you are and your capability. They had fucking faith all up and through this movie. But you guys drop down and tell me what you thought about the film, what you thought about Will Smith's performance. I look forward to reading your comments. I see you guys for my next video. Bye.